Could I put a different color light up behind me? Yes, I could. But I like blue. I don't know, what color would you want to see behind me? The truth here is I have no idea what to expect from today's episode of Battlestar Galactica. I do suspect we are in the midst of probably a series of standalone episodes before we gear into the final arc of the season, or maybe it's just the finale. That's just based on how last season played out, kind of thinking that it might be similar. But I am excited to see what this episode brings. Again, I don't know what to expect, but I'm ready to experience it right now for the very first time.
I'm thinking of building a cabin.
No, you're not. Okay, what is happening? Is this pre-series? Oh, he's like dreaming. What? Who is he in bed with? Was it an imaginary girl? Like his ex-wife?
Happy anniversary, Bill.
Ah, that makes sense. All right, so we're gonna deal with married people this episode, yes? Tyrol and Cally and their baby.
I thought we were spending the day with Nikki.
Yeah, so did I, until Alaskan and Perry called in sick.
You volunteered us in their place? We barely get any time off as it is. Daycare workers see more of Nikki than we do.
Yeah, well, until the daycare workers figure out how to strip a Viper, this is the way it's gonna be.
I mean, being a new parent is hard enough. Being a new parent on a Battlestar that is the sole source of defense for a dwindling population, it's next to impossible. No wonder they're fighting or having conflict at the very least.
You can use some time for yourself. I can handle first watch. I'll be keeping my schedule. This is just another day.
Just another day. Maybe I should have married him instead of you.
Very strange. Does he often see or have memories of his previous life?
We had some good times. But more bad.
There's obviously a reason they're not together
You
anymore.
keep bringing me back
or weren't
anyway.
together.
Just this one day. Why?
To torture himself? To try to remember the good? I mean, it's not like there's been any light in his life the last few years. Maybe some moments with Rosalind.
First time he didn't cry when I dropped him off at daycare.
That's a mixed feeling.
Felix, Callie, you're with me. Airlock 12.
This is a fracking mess.
Yeah, silence blew the hell out of it. Nobody's been down here since damage control plugged the holes.
That was a while ago. Oh my goodness.
Anybody could have dragged a tool bag down here. It didn't have to be me.
What do you want me to do? Give you special treatment because you're my wife? How would that look?
I don't care.
Honestly, I'm with her. You shouldn't do it all the time, but like every now and then for Nikki.
We're married. We have a son.
Yeah, it's just a little rough patch.
Ooh, don't be dismissive.
What if rough patches are all we have left?
She's like, I'm desperately trying to turn off the comms. Uh-oh.
Do anything.
You guys are definitely losing air.
It's gonna be drastic eventually.
Sensors detect a big enough leak. All the inner doors are designed to drop automatically. It's just a
Okay.
safety precaution. One of these patches must have cracked when we came in.
Oh, they're letting us hear it.
This is it right here. This one.
I'm worried that it might just poof. Oh man, oh, it looks so cool. I'm glad they showed us the outside shot. That's so interesting. Okay, I'm loving the idea here with Callie and Tyrol, getting to actually see them working through their issues, because I think that's really interesting. Just like the day-to-day life of trying to raise a kid and be still, somewhat newly married on the Battlestar Galactica. That actually is very, very interesting to me. I don't know how I feel about the Adama plot at the moment. We'll see how it unfolds and how it develops. I'm curious to see where it goes and how it develops, and hopefully it gives us some insight into where Adama's at now with his life, his personal life, and how he's doing, because that I'm very interested in. I'm not so much interested in his marriage before the show started.
Kinsey checks the roster. Chaffee brings me coffee.
Oh, he's trying to keep all their names straight.
Are you still doing that? The memory exercises?
He's a good commander, a
You
good
never
admiral.
changed, Dick.
One of the joys of being long dead.
If you're gonna fantasize and bring her into your present, bring a nicer version of her.
She's got a thing for bad boys. She wouldn't be the first.
She's the president of the 12 colonies.
Since you've created one godlike facade for yourself, why not invent another one for her?
Oh my gosh. Kind of savage. I like that those are like revealing some of his inner thoughts.
I was going a little stir crazy on Colonial 1 and I had to get out.
You're always welcome here. You know that.
Do we give him a jury trial? Do we set up a tribunal? And this fleet is not exactly brimming with legal talent.
Well, you bring lawyers into this, they're gonna drag you around for months.
Wasn't your father an attorney on Caprica?
I didn't get along with them very well.
Trying to get a room full of legal scholars to stay on task is like herding cats, and so I need to set up a chairman of this committee, somebody who can make a hard decision and who won't get seduced and bogged down by all the legalese. I was thinking Lee.
He's never shown any type of interest in law.
We can use the lawyers to parse the law, but we really need people who actually know the difference between right and wrong.
It never occurred to me that it would be so difficult to like get a trial as big as Guy's is underway in our current climate. Yeah, like lawyers might be in short supply. There might not be an agreed upon judicial process. It's a whole thing.
Who is Bill Adama anyway? Still a good question. I wonder if I'll get an answer.
You okay there, hot dog?
I've got the weirdest rash. She was worth it, buddy.
Well played, Hilo. I mean, it probably wasn't a joke, but it was funny.
49 days since our last enemy contact. 1 is the only number you need to remember. All it takes is for one pilot to let his guard down, and suddenly the Cylons are on top of us.
Yeah, keep
That's
him
when
sharp.
people die.
He's like both of us. But he's coming into his own, especially in the last few months.
Tell him.
He knows.
Knows what? That the Admiral's going to give him a good performance review? Or that his father loves him?
Two very different things, sir.
Don't tell me the Admiral's facade extends to Lee, too.
President wants to take the fast track on Baltar's trial. She's looking for someone to take charge. She wants me to assign you. Well, she's gonna need someone she can trust. You definitely fit that.
I think that's like the key thing. You know, she's talked about someone who knows right and wrong. And of course, what she really means is agrees with her perspective of right and wrong.
You're fascinated
For better
with his
or worse.
papers and his law books.
And there was me thinking I was being sly, sneaking off into his office all by myself. For 5 minutes there, I really did consider a lawyer.
I never knew that.
Anyway, it's impossible. Even if I wanted to help out, there's no way.
Celix, check the pressure. If that patch holds, we're gonna equalize in a few minutes. This door's gonna open.
Okay.
Nope. We're pretty much in trouble. Okay. Patch didn't hold, and now it sounds worse than it was before. So that's encouraging.
How they doing?
Still alive.
Oh, good. We're getting the troops involved. Sometimes still alive is like the best you can hope for.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
I mean, like, the show sometimes makes bold choices. They're not going to use this as an opportunity to kill off Tyrol and Cally, are they? Because that would be very hurtful for me.
The manual override is down. There is no way of getting those inner doors to open.
They're not going to do that.
They'll be out of there in half an hour, maybe less. Those are blast doors. It would take at least an hour to cut through them.
I need a rescue plan, not excuses.
Yeah, get them out of there, please. Please.
This might be a stupid question, but has anyone ever tried a rescue like this before? No one's ever been crazy enough.
Doesn't matter, we're out of time.
Okay, I really love the aesthetic of seeing the, like, frost on their clothes. Really driving home the point that it's cold, but their performances are also selling it, as well as the set deck.
I'm gonna take you out through the front door.
Put a ship out there and bring up some kind of docking collar?
You'll be out of air in a few minutes. There's no time for a caller.
Yep, that checks out.
Tina's gonna position her Raptor in the front of the airlock. Hatch
At least we all understand the situation. It's awful.
You can do this. People have been able to live up to a minute in exposure without a suit.
I don't know.
We'll talk later. Get ready.
Yeah, he's like, it doesn't matter if you know or don't know. It's happening, and you're just going to do it. So don't overthink it, because you don't have time. No time to overthink it. Act.
We both know what happens to kids on the fleet when their parents aren't there for them.
What happened?
Paulo and Dee. They'll take care of them.
Whatever happened to Boxy? That's what happens?
There's a civilian family. Mother's name is Susan Steckler. She has a little girl. If anything happens to us.
I love that she's looking out for her boy, but I would hate if her plans actually needed to be implemented.
I was being selfish. I wanted you with me, like old times.
Admiral's gonna get us out of here, okay? We're gonna take care of Nikki.
Decompression sickness, at the very least hypothermia. They could freeze to death.
Make sure Cottle's got his hyperbaric chamber ready.
We're not caught off guard. We know this is happening. I mean, it's a little fast-paced, but we know it's happening. Let's make the preparations. Everything's gonna be just fine. Yeah.
We don't have time to hang back until the airlock doors blow, so we're liable to experience some turbulence from the residual oxygen, maybe even some shrapnel hits.
Galactica Apollo, Raptor door is open. We're standing by.
It's a really good sequence.
Raptor's in position. We gotta go now.
Like, my nerves are proficiently racked. And there, we knew this stuff was coming. We're holding position as best we can. Make sure you get the 2 humans. Ah, we messed up. Okay, no, we're good. Okay, I misinterpreted the situation. We got them. We're good. Pressurize the Raptor.
Raptor's secured and pressurized. They're in rough shape. We gotta get them to sickbay right away.
They're alive, but Doc Cottle's still evaluating their condition.
We've never talked about it. The divorce.
It's a bad time for all of us.
Your mother gave you and your brother a home.
Dad, I know you want to believe that, but you know what? Forget it. It was a
No.
long time ago.
Talk about it. We're here. Talk about it.
You have something to say, son, just say it.
My God, you knew what Mom was like. I mean, the mood swings.
Wow.
It's why you left her. She would just start drinking, and then all of her good intentions would just go flying out the fracking window.
Is she just a different version of Ellen? I thought she kind of resembled Ellen, but...
You walked out on me! You weren't here for any of us! It was always whatever was easiest for the great Adama!
They needed you.
They needed a father.
She's just illustrating his own thoughts back to him, right?
That's why
his
you keep
subconscious.
calling me back. Because if you had made that mistake, it would just call into question all of your other decisions.
She was still your mother, Lee. I loved her.
I just don't think she ever loved you.
Wow.
How's she doing?
So close. She'll be okay, but it's gonna be a while before she's 100%.
At least we know he's okay. We can safely assume Callie is on her way to being okay.
Sweetie, look who's here.
Oh, her eye. His eye too. I didn't notice. They're okay though. They're gonna heal. They're gonna raise their baby.
Find a balance, you and me. We will take care of Nick.
And I'm pretty sure you're gonna have Adama's full support. A very touching moment.
So what's this?
Oh, I was here when I got in.
Ah, grandfather's law books.
Why is he giving them to you now?
For that day when we all have the time.
This was given to me by one of the colonists down on New Caprica, and I forgot about it, and Tori found it in a pile of old clothes. I think you'll like it. And it's not a loan. It's a gift.
Ah, they brought that back around. Because he said that to her. Okay.
You ever think about the times much on New Caprica? One in particular stands out. Said you wanted to build a cabin.
Yeah.
I got a little silly that night.
It was the weed.
You ever wonder what would have happened if the Cylons hadn't come back?
Do you think you would have stayed on Galactica, or do you think you would have settled?
It's pretty hypothetical.
Until it isn't. No. Did I just say that?
It's worth just seeing you laugh like that. We've been at war for so long, sometimes we forget what we're fighting for.
So if the Cylons hadn't come back?
Answer the question.
But they did.
He just refuses to say it. I would have settled with you, Rosalind. Come on, Adama.
We have certain responsibilities.
I will be back in a few days, and if you'd like, we can talk more about that night.
Please do. You can pursue happiness without neglecting your responsibilities. I think you're very two responsible people most of the time.
I absolutely would have built the cabin.
We had something, didn't we?
Yeah. See you next year.
Different episode. Overall good. I would partly classify it as strange for one specific reason that I will talk about in just a moment. After these credits finish rolling by. One thing I want to mention, I don't comment on it too often, but the percussive nature of the music, there's just so many moments where it just stands out, and it really makes the show, it gives it a unique atmosphere, and I still love that so much. The music gives the show a very clear identity, even when it's not percussive. It just has a unique style and stamp that is so clearly BSG.
This'll mark new territory.
Uh-oh.
Don't do it.
Oh! When he said mark new territory, I, for some reason, immediately thought of a puppy peeing. They went a different direction with it. Yes, they did. So this was a little bit of a slower episode, and that's not necessarily bad. A lot of the ideas and what they tried to do here, I thought was very, very interesting. Let's start with Adama and work our way to Tyrol and Cally. I absolutely, of course, love the idea of just getting to know Adama better, getting a glimpse into how he thinks, his personal life, or really lack thereof, because obviously he is consumed with being the admiral on the Battlestar Galactica. Like, there's nothing more important than that. This is life or death for all of the people, and he has to stay focused and be present. He doesn't have time for much of a personal life. And so I love the idea of an episode that really explores that a little bit. And I have slightly mixed feelings about the execution. Seeing his ex-wife and exploring the idea of his life before Galactica, exploring Lee and that whole dynamic, I actually think that would have made a very, very compelling episode in season 1. We're so far into the show now that it's still interesting. It's still mildly compelling, but it's almost, for me, it feels too late to have this kind of episode and this kind of story. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Agree, disagree. But that's just how I feel about it to an extent. Like, I would have loved this in season 1. But we're not in season 1. We're in season 3. We've had years pass since that time frame. And I was hoping that they would at least use this to kind of work their way out into his relationship or whatever is going on with Rosalind. And they did eventually do that. So there was some forward motion, or at least some very strong hints there, which I think is interesting. Hopefully we do get to explore that in a little bit. We got to talk a little bit about the trial of Gaius Baltar, and it makes sense a little bit that it would be a little bit difficult to get that off of the ground. That's not something I'd spend any time thinking about. I like the idea of Lee potentially getting to be involved in that, although I don't know if he actually will. He did decline, but he has the law books now, which is pretty great. I did like him getting that gift from his dad. It was special. It was a special moment, and I thought that worked really well. Yeah, my favorite part of the episode was seeing Tyrol and Cally and their storyline. Not just the excitement of being locked in that airframe, which, by the way, I'm trying to think, was that a season 1 plot point or a season 2 plot point where they when the Cylons, when the Centurions boarded the ship and created that damage? I'm trying to remember. I am blanking a little bit, but either way, it just adds to the, like, was this a recycled season 1 plot, a season 1 script that they tweaked and made somewhat relevant for the third season? I don't know. It doesn't really matter ultimately, but I loved seeing Cally and Tyrol with their baby and navigating kind of that is a very interesting dynamic to me. It's very challenging in any scenario, but especially in this situation. And I love that Cally was, probably rightly mad at at Tyrol for scheduling them away from Nikki when they were supposed to be with Nikki. And of course, things happen and whatever. I liked even more of that coming back around and Tyrol saying that he did it because he wanted to spend the day with her, like old times. And like, yeah, that's sweet. But at the same time, these aren't old times. And, oh boy, it would have been devastating had Nikki had Callie and Tyrol both. Thankfully, they didn't. I would have been shocked and mad if they had. So, like, I understand this show does kill people off from time to time, but that would have been devastating. The episode wasn't good enough to warrant that conclusion, if I'm being completely honest. Like, it was an okay episode, but man, if that would have happened, if you're going to kill off people, at least make it a great episode. That's all. That's my only request. I can get used to anything, but I love the moment of Callie making plans, trying to protect her son. Whew. That was Battlestar Galactica, A Day in the Life. Next week is another episode that has a title that we're going to watch together next week. I had the title in my head just a few minutes ago because I just looked at it. And then I started saying the sentence, realized I didn't know the title, tried to cover, failed. The point is, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye.